Welcome to Before Brunch TV. I'm your host, Stephanie Walters, and today's episode is something that we don't usually talk about. We're talking about men and body image, and it's a topic that a lot of men don't talk about it. But today, because this is my show, we're going to be talking about it. And I've got some amazing men who have been so gracious to share the couch with me today to talk about body image. So if you guys can introduce yourselves, who you are, what you do, and then we're going to get into all the good stuff.
Brandon Jones. I am a track and field athlete, a model, and I'm also an engineer. And I also run for the country of Belize, and I happen to have been an Olympian. So
happen to have been an Olympian.
Yeah, by the way,
that's a humble brag, real quick.
Most definitely. Hi guys, I'm Marquis Norton, Dr. Marquis Norton. I'm a clinical mental health therapist and professor at Hampton University. I'm not a fitness expert, but here to share the couch with some of my good comrades.
My name is Robert Brix Glover. I am a wellness entrepreneur, I guess you can say, and I'm happy to be here today. Yeah, thanks for having me, Steph.
Awesome, and thank y'all for being here to really talk about this, because this is a topic. Girls, we talk about this all the time. Like, I don't like this, I don't like that, my body's this and that, but we never hear men talking about body image. I mean, I don't know if y'all talk about, y'all talk about football, everything else. We don't ever hear you guys talk about how you feel about yourselves physically, which also translates to how you feel about yourselves mentally. And so, Brix, I want to start with you because I've been following your journey for years now. You've had this amazing health and wellness journey transformation. So talk through your story for anybody who hasn't heard it yet.
Yeah, I guess the elevator pitch version of the story is, in 2012, I was in a really dark place. You know, I was dealing with anxiety and depression, and I had recently made a big mistake that kind of turned my whole life upside down. And from this dark place, I, asked myself, what area of my life can I focus on that could essentially be the first domino to kind of put everything in order? And at the time, I was 360 pounds. I had high blood pressure. I was borderline diabetic, and I just wasn't feeling good about myself physically. So I decided to really focus on transforming my body and getting my health under control. And it essentially just transformed my entire existence. And now, 10 years later, I'm a full-time wellness professional, and I kind of used everything I learned during that process to help other people transform their physical and their mental as well.
Yeah, I mean, looking at you now, I'm like 360, like where? Like that's crazy. Yeah. I mean, congratulations on also too keeping that off, because that is a whole journey in itself.
Absolutely.
I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, now the maintenance part was the hardest part in my opinion, right? And that's when reforming my habits was the key to maintenance and changing my relationship with food. But yeah, that's a long conversation in itself.
Yeah. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Brandon, I want to tap into you because you're an Olympian. Humbly, you're an Olympian. And I can only imagine, you don't just become an Olympian overnight, even over a couple of years. Like, you've been training probably your whole life. And so you've always had to have this, like, fit, health-conscious mindset. What has that been like for you?
It's a drive, right? So I started tracking when I was like 17. And prior to that, I was always active. My older brother, he was athletic, trying to keep up with him. So, you can't be left behind. The little brother mentality, you want to make sure you're better than him at one point, especially when you're outgrown. So, passed a little bit. So, started running track, got to college, Hampton University, met, the amazing team there. And, you coming into out of high school, you're somewhat decent. And then you get to college, you get put to the bottom of the totem pole. And any event, the event you might have been that you was the best at, or you get put down. So it's like, all right, do I want to keep going or not? And through those years running at Hampton and then continuing to represent Belize, it just became how far can I push myself, right? And that in order to do that, I had to, make sure I kept my body right. Make sure I had the right things going into my system to help with recovery while I'm working out, trying not to get sick, so make sure my immune system's strong. So it was just a daily drive. Okay, I have goals to achieve, so gotta keep pushing through. So that's kind of the way it went, I guess. Yeah.
And Dr. Norton, you are not in the fitness space per se, but you are a mental health professional, and like how you feel about yourself definitely affects your mental health. And so with you being in that profession, what are some things that you might have heard, especially from men, about how they physically feel about themselves that is translated internally?
Yeah, for sure. There was a study I was reviewing about Penn State, looking at male body satisfaction in kind of 2020, 2021. And there's a lot of comparison, especially like social media, to self-esteem and, body satisfaction. I believe that it's a cycle to where when we feel unsatisfied, right now we have issues with our self-image, self-esteem, and then we're always comparing, whether it's on social media or with other people. So it could definitely be a vicious cycle that, we want to find ways to kind of step out of and really work toward. But a lot of times in this day and age, everything is, I don't want to say glorified, but we're seeing the top of the top. So whether it's, abs or, muscles, or we even talk about height, that could be a thing that some people are dissatisfied about. But we're seeing a lot of that, males and females, especially young adults and people who are kind of progressing through their careers, really figuring themselves out, but also using their social peers as a gauge. And a lot of times that can set you up for a uneven evaluation. So, we're seeing a lot of that where it's tied into the depression, it's tied into the self-esteem and things like that. But conversations like this are certainly helpful to promote some change.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned social media, because I feel like, and obviously because I can only speak because I'm a female, like we compare ourselves all the time, whether, advertently or inadvertently. Do y'all compare yourselves, or have you ever compared yourselves to other guys on social media? Like, dang, not like I wish I had his abs, but more of like, man, I've been working so hard and I'm not there yet. Like, have y'all ever experienced that? Like, be for real.
No, go ahead.
So if I could go as a non-fitness because we fuck.
I'm looking at Brandon's abs.
I have seen him in the Nike, all kinds of stuff, photo shoots. But as someone who's not a fitness expert, I think I probably fall off more than these guys, right? This is part of y'all norm. But I think comparison in this day and age is kind of, normal. I don't think that men are as detailed as females, right? To where it's every little thing. But I think naturally we kind of compare body satisfaction, right? So it could be, certain things that I may be insecure about, to where I may see with, someone else, to where their things may be a little bit more detailed. So I think that we do compare. I don't think we're as vocal as females tend to be, but that's just my 2 cents.
I compare, right? But
he said I compare.
No. So here's the thing. It's I use it as motivation, right? So when I was 360 pounds, I had a vision for my body. I wanted to look like The Rock, right? So I honestly took a picture of The Rock and I pasted my face onto his body, and I put that as the background of my phone, and I use that to motivate me. So it's never a comparison to where I'm putting myself down. I'm always using it as energy for inspiration, for sure.
I didn't compare, but I was compared to. Because I've always kind of been, like, my frame's always been small. And when I started lifting more and, getting more tone like that, and in the model industry, for example, there's shoots where if we're in a fashion show, if I had to do the runway, or if I had to do a photo shoot, and they're like, all right, well, we want B in the swim trunks, no shirt, or we want him in the button up with the shirt open like that. And it's like, I've been compared, they're like, oh man, we can't do that right there. We have to wear the full outfit. And it's like, I mean, you could, but you just have to take steps to get to that area. So I've been compared too. I haven't really compared myself to anyone else, because I mean, it kind of always looked like that, but.
He's like, yeah, I've always been that guy.
He's
so
like, I'm the
I
prototype.
always look like this, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've been compared too, but I've also had people come to me. Like, I've had some, it's like, they come to the side and they were like, hey man, what's your workout routine? That's usually what they say. What's your routine, man? I'm just trying, they always use with the abs. I'm trying to get your abs on the routine. And it always ends up being more than that, because it's not just abs. It's, you get the full concept. So I'll get that, and that'll be how they'll come to me. And it's a simple thing. Hey, man, well, we can go ahead and, hey, give me the number. I, send you some workouts, or be a guide and support as you go through your process. So I've had some come to me, but it's not often. Usually they kind of just get the comments and they go on their own.
Yeah.
So.
Do you guys feel like, I feel like, for me and my girlfriends who talk, I feel like women don't care as much about men's body image as we think men care about ours, right? And that's what I said, as much as we think, because there's this whole culture now. Whatever you want to do with your body is fine. Like there's a whole culture of surgery. People are getting surgical abs. A lot of men are getting that surgery right now. It's a lot of women are getting surgery to look like this way. And do you think that that kind of plays on your psyche in terms of maybe attracting a certain type of partner or attracting a certain type of lifestyle? Does that play on your psyche, knowing that, well, if I look this way, maybe somebody will be more inclined to work with me or to date me or whatever that may be?
I'll go from this. So I think one of the biggest things of insecurities is, perspective, right? So if I'm insecure about something, even if you may not see it to the same magnitude, it's going to be magnified from my point of view. So I think when it comes to insecurities in body, everyone has those things. I think naturally physical appearances, it ties into attraction. And if there's something I'm insecure about, let's say for example, I got ugly feet or something like that. Just use it as an example, right? To me, it may be the biggest thing in the world, right? But, someone who's dating me, it may not necessarily be a big thing. But I think, in this day and age, everyone presents themselves as perfect, to where those insecurities are definitely highlighted when we look at other things. So I think it definitely can play on the psyche based off your insecurities.
But I think when you think about being attractive for a mate, right, and feeling like you got to look a certain way, I think it's tied to a primal instinct, right? Typically, if you're strong, if you are fit, if you are fast, that means that you can protect your family. You can escape danger if you need to. So a lot of it is primal. And in the green room, we discussed, I think if I wasn't taking care of myself and I was overweight or I didn't go to the gym, I think I would want to feel bad about myself. I wouldn't want to feel comfortable not taking care of myself. I wouldn't want to feel comfortable overeating and gaining weight. I think I should have some sort of mental, resistance to that idea, right? I think it serves me. It's the thing that drives me. If I was okay with not being in shape, if it didn't bother me, then I wouldn't be inspired to be consistent and to watch what I eat. So I think there's value in it.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good perspective, because also too, I think people equate to being in shape to looking like The Rock, right? Or it's like that doesn't. You don't have to be.
No.
It's like just being healthy.
Absolutely.
Within is a whole nother process.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I consider the temple, right? It's the place we were born with. This is our first house, and we have to live this until we no longer are here. So, I've dated women that haven't been super fit. That's fine, but you're healthy, right? You're mindful of what you eat. You're active. I'm not expecting you to go out here and bust no world record times or running or be a super athlete. I require that of no one, right? But I want you to be mindful of who you are as a person and what's going inside of your body. What are you doing, right? And as long as you're taking those strides to be able to take care of yourself the same way I'm doing to take care of me, it means you are able to take care of others, right? And like you said, as a man, we want to be able to take care of our others, right? So if it's a struggle for me to get out of a chair, stand up, breathe, walk downstairs, then if I can't do that for myself, I'm struggling to do that for myself. When it's time to protect others, our loved ones, and we can't do that, then it should be an issue, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean it's not a requirement. But, yeah.
I have to ask you guys this question: what are you insecure about?
Man, skinny was probably the most thing for me. I've always been super skinny, so retaining weight, it's technical foul. I can't it doesn't happen. The most I've ever gotten, I'm 6'6", so the most I've ever gotten is 215, right? And you see, this before, even younger, when I was tall and skinny, I was 6'3", 160 in high school. No, nothing but skin and bone. It's you look at it dang, I've always been skinny, and I kind of grew into that. But yeah, that's probably the one thing I was insecure about for a while. I was I'm just mad skinny. I'm never gonna never gonna be the Hulk. Never gonna be the Hulk. So that's my big thing.
I'll go. So mine's is I'll say weight gain. So I'll just kind of go through my journey. So, you know, growing up inner city, Chinese food, McDonald's, that's kind of like, you know, the norms. So I go to college, and everyone's kind of on this workout tip, P90X. I'm about to date myself a little bit. But everybody's on this P90X wave. So I remember maybe sophomore year, I'm preparing for spring break. So I'm going hard, January, February, right? Spring break's in March. Because I've always been like, you know, I've always had size, right? So for me, one of my insecurities is weight gain. So at that point, I kind of got like a little taller, a little skinnier. Then you have kids. I got 3 kids, so it's a lot of snacks. It's
you ain't had a baby.
I had a baby, exactly. So, but I'm eating these snacks and, you know, fries and all kinds of things. So it's easy to fault dad bod, right? You get the gut, right? These are things that happen. So for me, you know, definitely making sure that it's not like it's a balance, right? I'm just trying to make sure that I don't fall off, like even before doing this, you know, I made sure I went on a run, you know, do the things that I know are going to be beneficial. But my main thing is weight gain. Like I said, for me, it's easy for me to gain weight. So opposite to what he was saying. Yeah, we did. I need to take a little bit what he got going on, but yeah, that's one of my main things. So I got to be really intentional in working out what I eat, just so I can kind of maintain, you know, this proportion.
Yeah, so I would say my insecurity, I lost 160 pounds. So I have some loose skin, right, in the lower part of my abdomen that I've made peace with, but, you know, I still think about it when I take my shirt off in public. And also, I do a lot of shirtless stuff on social media, right, because I've learned that that's what inspires people. And I'm also proud of my physique. I worked really hard on my physique. But so whenever I have a season where I do put on a little bit of body fat, I am insecure about it. But it's less about a typical part of it is your typical insecurity, and another part of it is I don't feel as good in my body when I put on body fat. I feel more mobile, I feel stronger, I feel more confident when I'm leaner, and I'm pretty sure that contributes to me feeling, you know, less than myself when I put on some body weight. But I don't think that's a bad thing for me personally. Again, I think I need the pressure of being uncomfortable in some way when I'm slipping, because that's what keeps me in line.
Checks and balances.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Why do you guys feel like men don't talk about this amongst each other? Because girls will be like, look, I have put on some weight, I'm not feeling great about myself, like I'm feeling this and that. Like, we're, obviously men and women are wired totally different, but why do you feel like, and especially amongst black men, like, don't have these kind of conversations with each other? Because I think too, even the information that all of you are sharing could help another man who's out there watching, like, dang, like I didn't think he was thinking like that too. I feel like that too. I don't feel like I'm alone. Like, why do y'all feel like this is such a taboo topic to talk about?
So me personally, at this stage of my life, I do have circles where I can have these conversations, right? But in the past, like when we talk about my dad's generation or how I was raised, you don't show vulnerability, right? It comes across as weak, right? And we're a little bit more evolved nowadays. I hope that's true for most people. We're starting to create spaces to have those sort of conversations, and having a therapist sitting next to me, he knows the importance of being able to have those conversations. But I think mostly it's because it's considered weak, and as black men or men in general, we're not supposed to show vulnerability. But I think true vulnerability is strength, right? That's true courage to be able to admit if you fall short in an area or if you're struggling with something.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. I think gender norms are important. I think a lot of times with females, it's a little bit more, like I said, exacerbated to where, hey, do I look fat in this sweater? Or,
yes.
It's very much yeah, exactly. So I think it's a little bit, gender norms and just kind of like social norms are important. I don't think that male body image is as prioritized in dating as female body image is prioritized in dating. But I think these kind of conversations help push us into the next developmental level for our kids and next generations and even ourselves. But I think the main thing is, we don't have these conversations because vulnerability, right? It's perceived as a weakness. If I would have asked about the sweater, now my friends could be clowning me, right? Different things like that. Because even me asking, hey, how do I look in this? right? That's kind of, or highlighting the insecurity, right? So now amongst men, that's kind of like blood to the wolf. Now with females, it's more like, oh girl, you look great. It's more supportive. So I think, you know, innately we're kind of at two different norms. So that's kind of my 2 cents for that.
They both covered that perfectly. Like, I mean, that was it. Like, literally, you can't, you don't want to seem weak, and that prevents you from. It's a matter of pride too. Like, yo, I'm about to go show him immediately that I think that I got a little insecurity. You're not gonna do that, right? So you hold it in. You may, think about it later, or if you don't have that community, you just hold it into yourself for a while. But like they said, that community is massive. You have to have having that community of men to talk to. And just be able to release like that, even if it's just you got a few workout tips real quick, come in with that, stuff like that matters, right? And like you said, like that's also things that men don't go around talking about. We're not going to go around and say, yo, by the way, bro, you probably want to try the shirt. We're not going around and say, you want to say to somebody like, hey, yo, B, try on the blue shirt with the little foot joint. Nobody goes around doing that. That's not a thing for us, right? So that's not we weren't raised to do that. And that's just not a normal thing. So what prevents us from reaching out.
Yeah.
Sorry, another point. I think it's also in the package. I think guys, and y'all tell me what y'all think, I think we'll come with more of the solution. Hey, I'm trying to go to the gym. Right? Hey, I'm trying to get right. As opposed to highlighting the problem. Right? So if it's like, hey, my shirt's too tight, that's like, oh, but it's like, yo, I'm trying to, next time you go and hit me up, I'm trying. So I think.
So maybe we do talk about it. But it's just in a different. We frame it differently.
Yeah, we frame it differently.
That's definitely a common thing.
That's a norm. Like, hey, I'm trying to get with you. I'm trying to get like you. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying it, but I'm not highlighting the problem.
Yeah. I think too, and this is, I'm not the therapist, you are. I feel like, especially, and I think this is cultural, when men ask other men like, oh, how do I look? Or does this look all right? I feel like everything is sexualized, right? And you're afraid of looking a certain way, like, oh, he said I look straight, like I look good, like does he, I feel like everything is so sexualized where it's like, I really just be like, yo, how do I look in this shirt? And so when you think about culturally and the generations under us, like how do you feel like that plays a role into how we feel about ourselves too?
Yeah, I think coming from a generation of toxic masculinity and those kinds of things, I think we're seeing more, openness, more vulnerability, right? We're seeing more compassion amongst our brothers. Like I think about the Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Major when they did like the, the hugging and stuff like that. But that's stuff that we've never seen before. So I think that level of like connection, or I'll even call it intimacy, right? Not sexual.
It is intimacy, yeah.
It's intimacy, right? Between, men or black men is something that we haven't really had before. So I think that as we're stepping into these spaces of, prioritizing mental health, prioritizing support, these are things that kind of inherently come with it.
So I'm a part of a men's group called the King's Council. And one of the missions of the King's Council was to create these sort of communities, because it's been a very healing experience for me to have these sort of conversations in a safe space amongst other black men and not feel, ridiculed about it or not be made fun of, So I think, men having the intention of seeking these sort of communities can be life-changing for them, for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, not to. He brought up a point. All right, so culturally, right? So let's just take black men, but let's just take white men, right? You brought up a great point just now. All right, black men, we joke on each other, right? So if it's like, oh, if you put yourself in a position to where, let's say your shirt is too tight, you go hear about 15 different variations of
everybody becomes Dave
Chappelle. Your shirt is tight, right? So now you Fat Albert, now you all these other things, right? I'm not sure if culturally white people necessarily do that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that, a lot of the joking is playful in nature, but that it can affect. It's insecurity like this. It can affect. So I think we learn how to mask the insecurities and maybe package them away that's a little bit more deliverable. But I think, a white person, right, they say, hey, bro, you look great. Hey, your abs or whatever. But I think culturally it's a little different because we joke on each other and all that kind of, and that's a important factor to consider.
In this season, what is bringing you joy about being in your own body and in your own mental space?
I'm healthy. I'm here. I went through a lot. Car accident, dislocated my leg. I couldn't walk for like a couple months. And still was able to come back and compete and still be active after that. Surgeries, still able to compete against kids half my age, which is terrible to say. yeah. You know,
Yeah, you old.
Yeah, it's LeBron James.
No. 26. But no, like it's just being able to be active and being still feel useful even at the age we're at, right? And not having those severe ailments that I may see others have that, you know, they could be easily remedied, but they haven't taken those steps yet. So just being present in myself, being able to be, you know, able to be there for my daughter, and be just active for her while working and everything like that. So that's just something I'm always grateful for and take it every day.
Yeah, man, I love myself. I love my body. You know, I've been doing a lot connected with nature, going on walks, different things. That's always helpful. Just to kind of tune in with yourself. A few years ago, I tore my pec, so I had an injury. And sometimes those injuries kind of help you realize what you had, especially on that recovery journey, right? So, you know, I'm really grateful for everything, the strength, all the flexibility, et cetera, but definitely comfortable where I am right now.
So I just turned 40, Steph.
That's what's up.
I just turned 40, and I'm in the best shape of my life, right? And I've also kind of gotten into more mindful exercise modalities. I practice yoga and breath work every day. So I feel the most in my body today than I've ever felt in my entire life. And I understand the connection now between my spirit and my body. And that has been absolutely transformative for me, right? I have a great relationship with food, you know, I have a diet that fuels me, and I just feel really well. Yeah, I feel well as hell.
That's good. Well as hell.
Yeah,
well as hell.
Okay.
That's like all 2024.
Yeah.
I feel well as hell. I love it.
Wordplay.
Thank you guys for sharing your stories and having this conversation. And I know this can be a little like sensitive topic, but I appreciate y'all, and thank you all for tuning in. You can watch this episode and more episodes at beforebrunchtv.com. We'll see you next time.